And we're live.
Thank you. We would now like to call to order this meeting of Tuesday, February 9th of the municipality of East Ferris. And as our first order of business, I would like to turn the meeting over to our clerk, Monica Hawkins, who will administer the oath of office for the appointment of Richard Champagne to the office of councillor. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening, Mayor and Council members. So at the January 12th meeting, Council declared the vacancy on Council. On January 26th, the vacant seat was presented to the runner-up from the 2018 municipal elections. Richard Champagne, the runner-up in the 2018 municipal election, accepted to fill the vacant seat. We will proceed with the administrating of the oath of office from Richard to the office of Councillor. So Rick, if you could please read the oath of office and sign and show us that you signed the oath, please.
Thank you. I, Richard Champagne, having been appointed to the office of Councillor for the Corporation of the Municipality of East Ferris, so solemnly promise and declare that I will truly, faithfully, and impartially exercise the office to the best of my knowledge and ability. I have not received or will not receive any payments or reward or promise, therefore, for the exercise of this office is in a biased, corrupt, or any other improper manner. I will disclose any pecuniary interest, direct or indirect, in accordance with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. I will faithfully and bear true allegiance to the Majesty of the Queen Elizabeth II. And I make this solemn promise and declare consciously believing it is true and knowing that it is of the same force and effect and made under oath.
Okay. Thank you.
Can you see it?
I can.
Okay.
Declare before me at the municipality of East Ferris in the district of Nipissing this 9th day of February 2021.
Thank you. C'est bon?
We are complete.
Good to resume.
Yes.
Well, on Councillor,
Councillor Champagne may now participate in the council meeting.
thank you, Madam Clerk.
You're welcome.
And Councillor Champagne, on behalf of Council, on behalf of our community and our citizens, we would like to thank you very much for accepting to serve the municipality of East Ferris. We are certainly the ones that will benefit of your service as you bring years of experience, and we thank you for that and glad you are with us here this evening. So on that note, we will proceed with our agenda and we will move to adoption of agenda. Madam Clerk.
Okay, so I require a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Kelly, seconded by Councillor Champagne. That the draft agenda presented to council and dated the 9th day of January 2021 be adopted as circulated.
All in favor? C'est bon, thank you so much. We will now move to item 3, accepting the minutes of the previous meeting. That was the meeting of January 26th. Madam Clerk?
A mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Lougheed, seconded by Deputy Mayor Tahan. That the minutes of the regular council meeting held January 26, 2021 be adopted as circulated.
All in favor? Thank you so much. We now move to any business arising from the minutes. There being no business arising from the minutes, we will move to declarations of conflict of interest. There being none, we will move to chair's comments. And the chair would like to make 3 comments. First and foremost, this week, as council has noted, and probably our citizens online, we certainly launched our centennial celebration activities. And so I would like to start by thanking those who are serving on that committee, members of council and members of the public. It does involve additional hours, and so we are very thankful for their efforts and their work. Specifically this weekend, upcoming weekend, is, we know, the Winter Fun Family Fun Weekend. And specifically on the committee, everyone has different tasks. And responsible for this particular weekend is Madame Joanne Saint-Denis and Councillor Champagne. And so I'd also like to thank them. I'd like to thank them because it wasn't easy to organize. And so given the COVID and pandemic environment, we put forward ideas and then we had to pull them back and so on. And so very much delighted, however, with what has gone forward. And I would simply like to draw council's attention to the poster. I know we've all seen it, and just like to signal again or highlight the activities that do require pre-registration. And pre-registration, we've not had a long timeline to advertise these events. And so everything that everyone online can do to help spread the word and encourage people to register by Thursday would be absolutely wonderful. And so that involves the snow sculpture competition, and that's a 2-day competition. And so we encourage everyone to participate. And there's excellent information online. There's even a gentleman down south in the Waterloo area that started a snow sculpture club for the pandemic to help families that are at home be able to do snow sculptures. And so he's got these great videos on how to do snow sculptures. And maybe Deputy Mayor Trahan and we shouldn't give away our tips of what we found, because we're certainly in the running as well to try to win this award. So very much snow sculpture is a very attractive activity. Then, of course, there is the famous Family Feud. So it's just like on TV, except it's played here, Zoom. And so a family can come together, and family and friends, and you don't have to be from the same household. Basically, here your group, you will come together live on Zoom, and there will be a moderator and then 2 groups. And so it's a competition. And so very much looking forward to that activity. And again, here you have to register your 5 participants. Finally, the other activity that requires pre-registration is the puzzle contest. And I understand that it's going very quickly. So I encourage anyone who would like to participate in the puzzle contest to put your name forward. And this is a Monday activity from 9 to, I think, whoever finishes first. It's a 500 piece puzzle. And so very much, I think it's a fun activity. And so basically, I draw your attention to the poster as there are other activities listed there. I would also like to mention that this week we will be launching I don't know what its formal name is, but it's the East Ferris Boutique. And so we'll all discover what the name is together when we see it online. But very much there are wonderful items that are being brought forward that feature our logo. And so tonight I'm wearing one of the sweatshirts that I picked up this afternoon in order to be able to show there's a wide range of colors and items. And so I'm also drinking a cup of tea out of these beautiful mugs. And so basically there aren't too many places to shop right now. So I encourage everyone to consider the East Ferris Boutique. And I don't think you'll be disappointed, as it will carry both winter and summer items. And finally, we will also be rolling out our sponsorship package. This is another form of participation for our business community. And very much, there are various levels of participation. And it's for, as well, our fall activities. And so we're really hoping that in the fall, we will be able to go forward with more activities as potentially the vaccine comes into play. And so thank you very much for this opportunity to highlight some of these great activities that are being planned and to encourage all to participate. With that being said, then we will move forward directly into delegations to council. And tonight it's not so much a delegation. This is an invited presentation. It's a presentation at the request of council. And first, before introducing the presenters, I would also like to draw attention to Madame Maisie Alexander from our Police Services Board, who is also online. And so this is a joint meeting, in a sense, or joint presentation that's being received by council and by the East Ferris Police Services Board. And so with that said, I'd like to officially welcome to our council table for a presentation, Staff Sergeant Bill McMullen, Staff Sergeant Carrie Morgan, and Sergeant Shauna Camiran. And so I believe we see them all at this point. Hello, Maisie.
Hi.
Hello. and Staff Sergeant McMullen
Hi,
is
Terry.
there. And Morissette,
Hi,
is that Sergeant Morgan, or is that you at the end? Under
Good.
Mor-
It's Acting Sergeant Morrison. I'm the Kerry Morgan replacement.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Morrison. Thank you so much, Sergeant Morrison, for being online. So on that note, we turn it over to you, Staff Sergeant McMullen, and we're very delighted that you're present this evening. I don't think we can hear you. We need.
Bill, you need to turn your,
You guys hear me?
Yeah. Oh, there we go. All right.
No, I'll
we
go bring
can't hear
him
Bill.
I'll go bring him my earphones that I'm wearing.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, perfectly.
Okay. So we're good then?
We're good to go.
Very good.
Excellent. Okay, perfect. So I guess we're going to focus on two main things tonight. Aggressive driving and traffic complaints within East Ferris, and secondly, the theft from motor vehicles. Is that correct, Your Honor?
Yes, that is
Worship?
correct. Yes. Thank you.
Okay. So I guess we'll go back in time a little bit. So in 2020, having attended multiple PSB meetings, it was brought to our attention that council was receiving a lot of informal complaints related to speeding in amongst the East Ferris community. And as mentioned before, this is quite common, in which people make complaints to city council members, council employees, yet those complaints don't filter to the OPP, and thus we can't really respond adequately. So we're always communicating that anytime you receive a complaint from the community, that obviously we want that call be made to our non-emergency number to the police, reporting it. That way we can track it and hopefully identify if there's any possible trends within the community. So based on the various concerns identified in 2020, Constable Cameron established what we call a focus patrol. So a focus patrol is an OPP initiative, how we target a specific concern identified in the community, and it's usually data-based. So again, that goes back to my initial concern. If people aren't calling and making complaints, it's hard to justify making a focus patrol if we don't have the data to support the complaints. So if we say we had 180 complaints, obviously we have the data to support it. When we look at the data and we only have 4 or 5 complaints, it's hard to justify a focus patrol. But in this circumstance, we were satisfied that there was some concerns amongst the community, even though they weren't being properly reported, that we would undertake a focus patrol. So that occurred within the month of November of 2020. So I'll just read some of the highlights. So Constable Cameron queried our database, and in 2020 received 1,100 traffic complaints in the entire detachment cluster. And when we broke it down, 40 originated within Powassan and East Ferris combined. So overall, you can see how small the number is in comparison to the 1,100 other traffic complaints we received across our catchment area. So for East Ferris, the areas of concern were identified were Big Moose Road, Astor Road, Corbeil Road, Centennial Drive and McPherson Drive, South Shore Road, Highway 94, Lake Nusmson Road, Gilmet Road, Quakeway Road. The primary of the incidents occurred between 8 o'clock in the morning and 8 o'clock at night. So pretty much primarily during the day. So during 2020, East Ferris specific, we had 28 traffic complaints over, at that point, 11-month period. So just shy, I guess, of about 2 or 3 a month we're getting. So we conducted a focus patrol, and basically the messaging goes out to officers that we're looking to identify, first of all, people speeding, disobeying stop signs within those identified areas of concern. So I'm going to get into we did have a comprehensive report I can say off the top that we issued 19 charges through the Highway Traffic Act in the 1 month period during November. So there was 19 charges laid. I'm just going to move on to, so also of note, during the month of November, the OPP responded to 64 occurrences within the East Ferris community. Some of the highlights were 4 assaults, 4 break-and-enters, 3 domestics, 6 collisions, 6 suspicious vehicles, which are usually related to the theft of motor vehicles or break-and-enters. We had 3 traffic complaints, and we had 3 incidents where we did traffic enforcement. During the month of November, we conducted 37 traffic stops within the East Ferris community. So what's important to keep in mind here is that we are, in addition to East Ferris, we're also responsible for also providing policing services to the rest of our geographic area, being Powassan, Bonfield, Mattawa, and the major corridor highways, Highway 11, Highway 17, and 654, the other highways within the community. So this is all above and beyond our regular calls for service that we respond to within the community of East Ferris. So during the month of November, so we were able to track all our dedicated hours to the East Ferris community. And just to quickly go over the hours to give you a little perspective. So January was 38, February 38, March 30, April 66, May was 40, June 17, July 21, August is 23, September was 49, October 56, and there's 104 hours dedicated specifically East Ferris above and beyond our calls for service. So these patrol hours are all generated when officers aren't not busy doing either paperwork or respond to other calls for service. So this is when they have basically, when they're not responding to a call for service and not required to do admin duties. This is when they have opportunity, basically their free time, if you want to call it that. And that's what they dedicated their hours for in November.
Staff, just to confirm with them, it's Shauna. 104 hours was for November.
Yeah. So that was 104 hours. So it was, I would say twice the time the amount of the regular months of the year that we dedicate within the month of November. Also within the month of November, so there's 37 traffic stops. There was 6 collisions. We conducted 2 rides. We had 4 traffic complaints, 3 traffic enforcements, which is it's a traffic stop which is more than a simple provincial offense notice, and 1 traffic hazard. When we look at the map, it's fairly sporadic throughout the entire East Ferris community where the enforcement was taking place. So the officers were well dispersed. It's not concentrated too much in one particular area, so it makes it a little bit harder to concentrate our efforts. But again, East Ferris is not that big geography-wise, so we were able to spend a lot of time in that area. A general overview of the times indicates that to be more active, daytime is more active than night, with 69% of all calls for service were conducted and 60% of all traffic stops were during daylight hours. The highest volume of traffic enforcement occurred between 2 and 4 o'clock p.m. every day. Thursday was the busiest day of the week for us. No significant peak in terms of times or incidents reported to police within that time frame. The only anomaly seems to be Thursdays for some reason when there's more traffic-related incidents. A query of our system regarding MVCs, which is collisions, in 2020 resulted in 39 collisions within East Ferris. Of the 39 collisions, 11 were deemed to be non-reportable, which means the damage is less than $2,000. Of the remaining 28, 18 were animal related. 1 was failed to yield right away. 3 were inattentive driver. 1 was lost control. 1 was a mechanical failure, and 1 was other. So when we receive complaints from the community, we want to ensure that is there a correlation between traffic complaints and serious collisions and harm to the community. I would say 28 collisions over the course of the year I wouldn't say is necessarily a high incident, and with the majority of them being animal related. So I guess the messaging, we do send messaging out in the fall and the spring with respect to motorists being attentive and watching out for wildlife movements. And we do, Shauna PC Cameron, who is on the call, that's one of her duties, is providing those media releases for the community. So we'll continue to provide those media releases when animal traffic is at the highest. Additionally, the majority of all collisions within East Ferris did occur during winter months, which is what we would expect in almost any area or anytime, any other area, or in all years. So that was no surprise that the majority of collisions occurred in October, November, January, and February. So it is important for us to look at collisions with respect to traffic complaints, because we really want to make sure identify that if there's any additional safety concerns, or if there's a particular road in your area in which collisions were occurring and people are being exposed to potential extra hazards, that's where we want to target our efforts. But none of the collisions really identified a pattern. They're very sporadic amongst the East Ferris. So I know at the PSB meeting, Constable Cameron spoke to initiatives the municipality could undertake to improve traffic safety and outside of traffic enforcement, because enforcement is not the only avenue to curtail speeding and traffic complaints. Enforcement is one aspect, but there are also other aspects. Another one thing officers did find during this initiative, that I think almost 100% of all offenders that were stopped in traffic were local residents. So that's something that perhaps the municipality and the township can communicate to their citizens, that when they're making their traffic complaints, it's their own neighbors and friends who are the ones who are committing these, the ones that are subject to the traffic complaint. So that's something that we can also address through some messaging, and that it's when we're driving in a reckless manner that we're actually endangering our own community members. So that's something perhaps going forward we could kind of focus on in any educational thing. So before I move on, is there any other questions with respect to our focus patrol and the traffic complaints from East Ferris?
I suspect there may be. So let's go on an orderly basis. Before we move on to the next section, let's start with Deputy Mayor Trahan.
No, I'm good, thanks.
Okay. Councillor Kelly.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for coming tonight. I can just pass on basically from the Perron Builders over to Big Moose Road. I have a number of friends and relatives live in close proximity to the road itself, and coming out of their driveways, there's one or two blind hills, and there seems to be excessive speed coming over the hills. And I find that is an area that, if I was going to target an area, I would say that would be at the top, one of the top of my list. Thank you.
My only response to that is, so excessive speed could be 8 to 10 kilometers an hour over the speed limit, which would seem very excessive if you're on that corner and you're pulling out of your driveway. So again, that's something the township can examine, whether or not the speed limit accurately reflects the safety of that particular location. We could set up in that location and do enforcement. And if someone's doing 10 kilometers over the hour, they're going to get a ticket for $55, which may not be much of a deterrent. So this is an opportunity where we can examine those particular locations, and there could be a combination of enforcement and an evaluation whether or not the speed actually accurately reflects the safety of that location, if that makes sense.
Thank you. For years, we had the speed limit set at 60. We dropped it to 50 a couple of years ago, 50 clicks. But we're still getting excessive. We're getting complaints from people pulling out of their driveways and almost getting T-boned.
And my only other point to that is, you're getting complaints. We're not getting complaints. So those, okay. That's what they have to come our way.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Lougheed.
Thank you. Thanks for all that information. And I think that a lot of residents who are watching and will be, happy to hear that report, because people were curious about November for sure. I don't know if we went through those stats really quickly. Are we able to see that in some form of paper, or is that going to be available for us to review in some way?
I can put something together. So the report I have is done by one of our criminal analysts, so it's not made for public consumption, but we can provide a document that outlines it without giving all the specific details and locations. But
I
we
know
can
that's
do
a lot of work on your end, but I think it would be because I was trying to write it all down, but I couldn't get to it fast enough.
No, fair
So-
enough. But we can give down a plainer version with some of the stats to help you out for sure.
Okay, that's great. And maybe if you can help me understand too. So I appreciate understanding the hours. That gives some context. And so can you help me decipher the difference between like the hours that you put in East Ferris? Are those on a call basis, or are any of those hours like set for speed enforcement? Because like, I don't know if we're just waiting for you guys are waiting for calls to come to East Ferris in order to do speed enforcement, or is speed enforcement part of your normal routine?
So essentially, traffic enforcement is an expected function of an officer when they're not responding to calls for service.
Okay.
So the number I gave you for November, so there was total of 534 hours in the East Ferris community that was non-call related. So considering our catchment area, that's a fairly substantial number of man hours that were contributed to the East Ferris without any relation to a call for service. So that just officers have, they're not assigned to a call for service, and they drive out to East Ferris and they're doing traffic enforcement. They're looking for suspicious vehicles, suspicious persons, and they just kind of see what they can drum up essentially. So in the month of November, there's 104 hours dedicated to that community.
Okay, thank
Above
you.
and beyond, above and beyond our other responsibilities across the catchment area.
Thank you for answering that question.
You're welcome.
That's it for me.
Thank you, Councillor Lougheed. Councillor Champagne. No, okay, good, good, okay,
There I am.
yes, there you go.
No, I hit the wrong button. No, I'm good. Thank you very much. The only concern I had also was in November, why it was so high.
Thank you. Madame Alexander, any additional final questions?
No, I'm good.
Thank you so
I
much.
fully get it, though.
Pardon me?
I fully get it. Thanks, Bill.
I understand, Sergeant Camera, you had your hand up. I know we don't see you, but did you want to add anything to the comments that have been made by Staff Sergeant McMullen?
Yeah, I just wanted to make a suggestion that you put your speed sign on Big Moose Road, the portable one, and that can collect data for you so that you can be able to see what speeds people are actually going on that road. So I think if you have concerns, leaving it there for potentially, a couple weeks and downloading the data, and then you can actually see if there is an issue.
So we had that speed sign on Big Moose Road in the fall, and we weren't able to get the data because we had other work for our Public Works Committee to get ready for winter. But we do have that data, and we're going to be reviewing it upon our next meeting.
Thank you. On that note, then, thank you so much, all, and we'll move forward to the second part of the presentation.
All right. So next part is obviously the community has been impacted during the late stages of 2020 and the early stages of 2021 with theft from motor vehicles and break-and enters. And I can definitely sympathize with the community members how this is alarming, and it's definitely a violation of your safety when that is occurring. Just without the data, but I would suspect a lot of these types of crimes are unfortunately kind of the remnants of COVID. And so we had a drop in calls for service when the CERB checks were going out to everybody who basically applied, whether they deserved it or not. And there was a lot of money influx within the community from individuals who may have addictions issues. So at that point, there was a noticeable decrease in calls for service and some of these property crimes. But as CERB started tidying up who was entitled to it and who was getting it, we definitely noticed a marked increase in property crimes and these types of occurrences. So I do believe there's a correlation between the lack of CERB, COVID, and people with addictions looking for easy money to feed their addictions, right? So unfortunately, the East Ferris community kind of bore the brunt of that, in addition to Powassan community as well. without getting specific about the suspects, a lot of our suspects that we were looking at right now aren't even from your community. They're from North Bay and from further outside North Bay community. What we have determined is that they are mobile and they have access to a vehicle. So we did our criminal analysis, regional analyst did a breakdown of all our theft and motor vehicles. And I'll just kind of go over what was identified. So Corbeil accounts for 47% of all the occurrences that occurred. All but one are listed having occurred during night hours. So this is a crime of opportunity. They're at night when everybody's in bed and not active, right? So this is when they're moving around. So Mondays and Thursdays are listed at 75% of all reported incidents. I don't know why it's Monday and Thursday, but those are seems to be the peak days. So break it down by community over this is a span from December 1st to January 25th. So Powassan had 3 incidents, Mattawa had 3 incidents, Nipissing Township had 4 incidents, and Corbeil East Ferris had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of those incidents. So I'm just gonna go to the next page here. A little further breakdown. So in December 30th, there's 1. January 2nd, there was 1, and January 4th, there was 3, and there was a spike on January 7th. We do believe this is the work of one individual or 2 individuals, but that kind of went through the community on one particular night and targeted as many residents as possible. So I know at police service boards, we've kind of spoke about Lock It or Lose It campaign. I guess that works fine and dandy until people start breaking windshields. So that was alarming to us, but on the heels of that, we have to take into account that people are leaving valuables in their cars that are visible. So the vehicles that were targeted and broken windshield is because they had visible valuables within their vehicles. So part of the campaign for Lock It or Lose It is not to leave valuables, but really make sure they're not visible to the individuals. So times that we kind of broke these down were between 1 to 5 o'clock in the morning was 3. The broader time of 7 in the morning to 5 p.m. was 2. No, 7 p.m. to 5. So these are broader times when they couldn't narrow it down. The complaint couldn't narrow it down from 7 p.m. to 5 in the morning, from 11:30 to 5, from 8 to 5. So basically, it's all overnight, early morning hours. With that was the only real identified pattern. It's pretty spread out. So some of the recommendations that were identified, again, keeping valuables out of sight or out of the vehicle, park in the garage when possible, ensure driveway is well lit. If homeowner has cameras, to verify the area is capturing and their functionality. Data for larger picture when there's crimes occurring. So if you have cameras of your residence, but when you get the data from it, the product is blurry, it's not very helpful for police to try to solve these crimes. Continue with nighttime patrols, which I'll get into that in a few minutes, in suburban areas. Increase rides within the area, so that way we can identify people who are traveling in the area. And again, for us, entering detailed reports of people who we're having contact with and where they're coming from and where they're going. So this report was requested by one of my road sergeants, Sergeant Dutrasak, because he also identified that this was an issue. Since this report was obtained, so we obtained the report on the 25th of January. I can say we've had next to no calls related to this because we have been flooding East Ferris at night very strategically. So we do have a map, and I did have a map included in my report. Sorry, you can't see it, but again, this is provided by my analyst, and it was for police eyes only. So we had, just if I can read the rows here. So from 94 to Voyer Road to Tyfire Road, that was the hardest hit area. So based on this map and all the targeted areas, our officers basically cut off every road going in and out of the community for basically over the course of the last 2 weeks when we're not responding for calls to service. That's where we've been deploying our resources. Given the current order we were experiencing with COVID, the traffic is quite minimal. So our belief was if we catch somebody moving, there's a good chance they could be one of our suspects. Now, based on, we haven't identified any suspects. We've been stopping all vehicles. We've been conducting rides. We haven't identified any suspects, but I can tell you that we are looking at 2 strong suspects for a lot of these incidents that have occurred. I know one of the incidents that were reported to police, the complainant, when we canvassed the neighborhood, he indicated that his property was attended and vandalized at approximately 1 o'clock in the morning. And at 12 o'clock, he'd seen a cruiser come down the very road up and down on 2 occasions between 12 and 12:30. And this incident happened at 1 o'clock. So we don't know if the suspects they have scanners in their vehicles. So we have encouraged our officers to limit their radio communications while doing these patrols, because if our suspects are using technology to kind of monitor where we are, we're going to try to take that tool away. So we're going to continue to conduct these patrols and keep the numbers down. So far, they have remained down since January 25th. And we're going to keep working our 2 suspects. So that's kind of where we're at. Again, East Ferris was hit the hardest, but Powassan was also hit. And we're encouraging people, obviously, to remain vigilant.
Bill, we can't hear you.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. I somehow hit the mute button. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, sorry about that. So I'm not, is there any questions with respect to that?
So let's do a round table once more. Deputy Mayor Trahan.
I know I can say, Bill, good work on that. I was leaving to go to work at 5 o'clock in the morning. I was pulled over myself a couple times. I've seen the officers in our community, quite a few cruisers. So good work on that.
Thank you.
And hopefully that you can catch those bad guys sooner than later.
We're working on it.
I know.
Councillor Kelly.
I just want to say thank you for the extra efforts. It's been a wake-up call for a lot of my neighbors, because living in the country all our lives, we take things for granted, and security has, quite frankly, never been an issue. Now it is, because the world is upside down. Thank you.
Agreed.
Councillor Lougheed.
Yes, thank you for your efforts. We were one of the families that got
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it's okay. You know, it was a very gutsy effort on their end. They went deep into behind our house. And anyway, I just want to be mindful, and I know that you're mindful of this too. So when I say this, I'm not pointing you out, but I'm cognizant of stigmatizing anyone with addictions during this time, or anyone in general. So making that correlation, I just want to make note publicly here that, you know, to be mindful of that
Absolutely,
connection.
yeah.
And, you know, and I don't know if this is, I don't know where to put this comment. However, so when people phone in and report, is the point, I think that when people phone in and report these things, I think there's and I'm not speaking on my behalf here, that there's an intent on the other end of the phone. Is the other end of the line, like, specifically to direct what's happening, or is it to retain information? Because I think that there was some frustration of reporting and even calling in for traffic and or incidences, that it kind of like stops after that call. Do you know what I'm talking about? I don't want to like insult the worker on the other end of the line, but I just know that a lot of times when there was a lot of comments of, well, when I call, it doesn't feel like anything's happening. So finding some way to reassure people that that their call is heard.
So just, yeah, the call taking process is, if you call them it goes into our communication center, which is located in North Bay. They field the call. So based on property crimes, they'll try to evaluate, is there any evidence at the scene? Is there suspect information? They'll try to determine those things. Depending on how much information is provided, they'll either dispatch an officer, or go to an officer that will input the data. And then it goes into our database, which enables us to do these queries to see if there's patterns. Traffic complaints, sometimes they're after the fact and they have little information. So it would be hard to investigate based on the timing. If it's happening in real time, obviously, if we have officers available, my expectation is that we're going to dispatch officers to that area and hopefully apprehend somebody in the act. If it's after the fact, obviously, if the more information that we get, description of vehicle, time of day, license plate, male driver, female driver, that all assists in our ability to actually follow up on it. So I guess if they're feeling frustrated, the more information they can provide us, the more we can do with that information.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Councillor Champagne?
No, I just like to thank you for coming out this evening and talking to us. I know the feeling that Erica has because it happened to me at my shop. Actually, they're getting very smart. We had 2 trucks with plastic tanks in them. They come over grinders and drills and put holes in them and left with the gas. We thought something was wrong with the vehicles. Actually, I just took 1 tank out, so the fingerprints might still be there. So,
And we do have some individuals living in the nearby communities that are on our radar and are often involved in these type of offenses. So we do our best to keep tabs on them and hold them accountable when we do find them committing these offenses.
Madame Alexander?
Thank you, Bill, for the report. Just letting you know that I think the community is very appreciative of the efforts that's been going on for the last couple of weeks, because there has been a lot of posting on the East Ferris Post-it, and I like it when the community comes forward and appreciates how much you guys are doing. So thank you.
Yes, thank you for that. Sergeant Morgan, she typically monitors the Facebook pages, and she has observed that there's been a lot of positive comments with respect to the community seeing us out there. So that's nice to hear.
I'd say that's a perfect note to end on. And to thank you very much for coming out this evening, or for being present this evening. So thank you very much, Staff Sergeant McMullen, Sergeant Cameron, and Sergeant Morrison. And yes, so we look forward to our future Police Services Board meeting and continuing this great discussion. So thank you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure. And like I said, don't ever let issues fester. We don't always have to wait for these meetings to address an issue. So if something comes up, please, I'm always available via phone or email. If something comes up, I'm here to listen and do our best to deal with any issues that come up.
Thank you, Madame Alexander, for being present. Yeah. Okay.
Thanks. See you
Take care.
later.
Thank you.
How do I get out?
Bye-bye.
Bye. I'm trying to leave. I can't leave. There we go.
So we move forward then with our committee reports, and we don't have many this evening. Public Works, the meeting is next week, or yes, that's correct. Next week, the 18th. Community Emergency Management, none for this session. And so we move forward, I think, to the first committee that has something to report or an action to be taken, and that is our Recreation, Parks and Culture Committee. And so we turn it over to you, Councillor Kelly.
Thank you. I just thought it would be a good time to send a letter. With everything being shut down, we've got volunteers running the ski club. They're doing a heck of a job. There's anywhere from 25 to 45 cars out there every weekend. They're, as I say, they're run by volunteers and they're keeping people active. It's something that kids can do. I mean, they've even got I understand they've even got, they're both trails open for snowshoes and so forth, which you can rent at the library. I just think it'd be a good thing to send them a letter, say thank you for staying open, at least giving a physical activity that everyone can partake in. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any comments before moving forward with this action?
Second that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure.
Triple, quadruple. So it's a go. So we look forward to a letter that's drafted and forwarded to the Wassy Cross Country Ski Trail Executive.
Thank you.
Thank you. Then we move forward to the East Fair Centennial Celebration, and both Deputy Mayor Trahan and I were present. In addition to what we've said about the activities coming up this weekend, Deputy Mayor Trahan, is there anything else that you think we should highlight?
I just want to let the residents also know is that we were unable to do the fireworks, but hopefully we can do it sometime soon, if not on Canada Day. We'll have a great show, so stay tuned for that. I also want to say a big thanks to the Centennial Committee for all their hard work, mostly with this weekend events coming up. Rick, you did a great job also. Thanks. I know there's going to be lots of participation online for the virtual, as well as there's going to be a lot of great fun for your family to snow sculpture. I'm looking forward to that. And also, I just want to also give another big thanks out to two individuals from the Economic Development Committee, Angela Evangelist and Steve Austin, for putting together the Centennial Sponsorship Opportunities package that will be available to view on the municipality website hopefully this week. And this Centennial Sponsorship Opportunities will be available for everybody, including small businesses as well as the corporate businesses. So again, a big thanks to Angela and Steve.
Oh, well said. Yes. Thank you. And any comments? Councillor Champagne?
Muted. Yeah, the most important thing, well, not just the most important thing, but the big thing is Bonhomme, he or she, will be out on Saturday and Sunday and Monday. So just watch our website to see the times. Basically are between 12 and 3 o'clock, but look and see where we're going, and we'll be identified on our website. And hopefully they'll have little candies and stuff for the kids. We're just going to do a drive-by, so we'll have an idea where we'll be going by. And he'll be taking a tour all weekend to where the snow sculptures will be happening. So he'll be see how you're making out. So it
Now,
should be fun.
Are you giving something away by saying he?
Or she.
Just you look for hints here to try to guess who it is, right?
Yeah, they're anyway. Your guess will be as good as mine, and I think the Bonhomme is actually he or she out tonight. I think reading stories, so it should be interesting and have fun.
So it's a Centennial Bonhomme and not Bonhomme Carnaval.
Exactly.
Okay. So thank you very much, Deputy Mayor Trahan, puis Councillor Champagne. That brings us now to board reports, and we have minutes from the library board. Councillor Lougheed.
Yes, thank you. I think the one thing to note is the presentation of the 2020 financials for the library board. And, you know, I don't often think that, you know, people who are really accountants usually are really stringent on their things, but Jessica has so much passion for all the financials, and I think she's the best. So she came in with such a good, I don't know, she just reports on things so well. I really appreciate having her come in and do that. So thank you for that. But she came in and reported on everything. Everything just went, you know, swimmingly, nothing really to report on that end. And of course, Jennifer is doing a really good job, as she usually does with that budget. And again, as I said last week, we amended the clauses in the personnel policy regarding pandemic sick leave and the vacation entitlement grid to be more in line with the municipality. And yes, and then again, the same stuff with the out-of-town memberships during pandemic. So I don't think I have much else to report. Jason, you were there for that. So did you want to add?
Yeah, if I may, Mayor and Council, the library ended 2020 with a surplus of just over $4,700, which is great for the library in a year where we were dealing with a pandemic. And on our next council agenda, we'll be sure to include the final financial statements for council's viewing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions, comments before we proceed? There being none, Police Services Board meets on Thursday. And so we come to departmental reports and resolutions. And so we turn it over to Madame Clerk, who is going to provide a report on reports that were done by the Integrity Commissioner regarding East Ferris. Madam Clerk?
Okay, Council, the report was circulated with the agenda. I am just going to highlight areas of the report that was prepared. So in the spring of 2020, municipal appointed Integrity Commissioner David King received a complaint alleging a member of the Planning Advisory Committee contravened the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act as well as the entire council of the municipality and the members of the Planning Advisory Committee and the member of the Planning Advisory Committee contravened the municipal code of conduct. The Integrity Commissioner did his investigation in 2 phases. Phase 1 was an investigation pertaining to the municipal conflict of interest. The second one was regarding the code of conduct. The results of the investigation were as follows. In phase 1, the Integrity Commissioner found the interest to be so remote and insignificant that it could not be reasonably regarded to influence the Planning Advisory Committee member. In phase 2, the Integrity Commissioner did not find no contravention of the Council Code of Conduct by the Planning Advisory Committee member at the Planning Advisory meeting held March 27, 2019, nor by any members of the council at the regular meeting held May 14, 2019. The financial impact on the municipality for this investigation led to a total cost of $32,814.63, including taxes. And the recommendation coming forward for council is that council receives the report and its attachments dated November 16, 2020 and January 25th, 2021 for information purposes. That is my report presented to council regarding the Integrity Commissioner's investigation.
Will you touch on the financial impact, Madam Clerk?
I believe I did. The financial impact to the municipality was a total cost of $32,814.63. So that was the cost that the Integrity Commissioner billed the municipality of East Ferris for this investigation.
So there's no resolution. We just
I do have a resolution, and it's based on my recommendation to accept it as an information report. I can read the resolution. It just says that Council for the Municipality of East Ferris accepts the report of the Integrity Commissioner as prepared under report number Clerk 2021-02 for information purposes only.
Okay. So quick round table. Any comments on this report from starting with Deputy Mayor Tran?
No, I don't have any comments at this time. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Kelly?
I'm just glad that I feel vindicated as far as the charges that were levied against council and the planning board, especially the one individual. And to have the charge, as I say, vindicated simply because I saw no personal misconduct by the staff or council itself. So, but it's unfortunate it costs that much money, and there was no call. But that's just my personal opinion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kelly. Councillor Lougheed?
Thank you. I suppose, though, to counter that, Councillor Kelly, is that if it's, having the same amount of money for the call, like it's part of the process itself. Like, I don't know if it would feel better or worse regardless of the outcome. You know what I mean? Like if you're just concerned, like.
So pardon me, that's Councillor Lougheed. So is this a question that you're putting
Well,
forward?
I just think it's
just a comment.
It's just a comment,
Okay. Thank you.
The cost and the outcome, I think, are
separate items.
And I think it's just something that we have to accept now with an Integrity Commissioner. And but other than that, no, I don't have any further comment.
Okay.
The only rejoinder I would make myself is that it's unfortunate there wasn't a more economical way of resolving an issue if there was thought to be an issue rather than having to go to the lengths that we did. I just wish there was a more economical way of resolving it, because I mean, it's very unfortunate, the cost, because that's almost 1% of a person's tax bill in cost. Thank you.
Thank you, both Councillor Lougheed, Councillor Kelly. Councillor Champagne.
I don't know the circumstances, so I'm going to stay neutral.
Well, on that note, just a quick question, Madam Clerk, before these reports will be posted on our website. Is that correct?
Actually, Madam Mayor, the report is posted on the on the municipal website with our agenda. So my report is on there, and as well as the report number or November 16th, 2020, and the report of January 25th, 2021 of David King. So they're both posted on our municipal website under agendas, but we could put them as well under the Integrity Commissioner tab of our website. We could put them there.
I was just going to, I saw our CEO had his hand up. I don't know if you want to comment on that.
Yeah, Mayor Rochford, I was, our clerk took the words kind of out of my mouth. So one of our responsibilities is to make the report public, which we did this evening through the agenda process. But we will also, for further transparency, put it on our website under our Integrity Commissioner page, as we've basically got nothing to hide, and it's a public report. So.
Okay. So do we proceed now with a vote, Madam?
I just require a mover and a seconder for the resolution, and I will reread it. So I require a mover, moved by Deputy Mayor Trahan and seconded by Councillor Kelly. The Council for the Municipality of East Ferris accepts the report of the Integrity Commissioner as prepared under report number Clerk 2021-02 for information purposes only.
All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Let's move forward now with, thank you, Madam Clerk, for that excellent report. And that also was a lot of work for you as well. These, this, as was highlighted, these democratic processes are important, but they certainly do take a lot of time. In addition to the tax or the bill that we had to pay, sorry, of 32,000, it does involve a lot of staff time. And so thank you. I know it was your time in particular, and we appreciate your work in this file.
Thank you.
We move forward now with report number, it's the fire report, the annual fire report by our fire chief, Frank Lufin. And so on that note, we turn it over to you, Fire Chief. You're on mute as well. Good.
Frank, we can't hear you.
Okay, we'll give you a second. I know our CEO is not far, so with technical difficulties.
Allow me to click the speaker on. All right, can you hear me now?
We do hear you now.
Perfect. Little change of venue. So I'm providing council for information purposes the report on the fire department's activities for last year for 2020. Our call volume has dropped down substantially, mainly because of COVID. We responded to 77 calls for service with a total of 63 hours and 39 minutes in 2020. Our average response time from January 1st to December 31st, from the time the calls received, was 7 minutes to get to the hall and get a vehicle moving. We spent roughly 7 minutes and 10 seconds on average responding to the call, and 13 minutes and 55 seconds for the time leaving the station to arriving on scene. The average time spent on an incident was 51 minutes and 37 seconds. The average number of responders on scene were 4.86, with an average of 6.92 responders to the call. So not necessarily everybody actually goes to the scene. Some of them will come to the hall or be stood down in the process if we don't need the extra personnel. In 2020, with the 77 emergencies, we had an estimated dollar loss of $140,700. 9 of those were fire responses. 6 were structure fires. 3 were structures. 1 was a shed, and 2 of them were vehicles. In the estimated dollar loss of $140,700, the potential value loss could have been much greater if we weren't there to intervene, which would end up at $16,549,100. So the East Ferris Fire Department potentially saved an estimated $16,408,400 with the intervention responding to the fire calls. There were 68 non-fire calls, so those are controlled burn complaints, perceived emergencies. Somebody sees smoke in the air and calls it in. False carbon monoxide alarms where it's equipment malfunction. 3 false fire calls or alarms reported by monitoring companies, so automatic monitored systems failing, whether it's because of the alarm itself or other issues. 35 calls were medical calls, resuscitation calls. We had 5 other responses that were either canceled en route or perceived emergencies or incidents that weren't found. Again, somebody sees a cloud of smoke going up and calls it in. It's somewhere in this area. We go out, we patrol all the roads trying to locate the situation or the nature of the emergency. And unfortunately, sometimes they're unsuccessful. Or we get calls from the M&R, for example, during the fire ban, where a plane flying into the North Bay Airport may have seen something on their travel path. They'll call it in, the M&R dispatches us or calls us and advises. We go out and search and potentially haven't been able to find it. We had the 4 public hazards, gas leaks with seal present or down hydro lines. 6 rescues, which include our motor vehicle collisions, incidents on ice, water, or off-road responses. We assisted with 1 mutual aid call with Chisholm last year. We conducted 53 training sessions, which include our training, our equipment maintenance, meetings, and public events. The sessions do not include the inspections of residential or commercial properties. I've also provided council with a 5-year average from January 1st, 2015 to December 31st on a graph sheet to show where our call volume has gone from to 2020, where it's dropped off substantially. Our average calls are 160 emergency calls per year. COVID has reduced that partially because we're not getting the amount of medical calls. Our medical calls are still, and that's the second graph that I provided council. As I said in my report, 35 of our calls were dealing with medical calls. So that still is a large volume, which means our residents, our public education programs are working. We're seeing a reduction in our fire-related calls. So we're making progress in that respect. Other than that, for council's information again, the staff hours that were put in last year, breaking down, taking the whole group of the whole department, all the members, ended up being 2,760.12 staff hours spent last year by our volunteers and myself included. I thank council for your support with the fire department, helping us with our equipment and making sure that our members are safe. And I thank the members of the department for their dedication and response to protect our residents and visitors to our community. And that's my report to council.
Thank you, Fire Chief. And on that note, I know we will have a resolution to accept the report, but we can go around the table first for any comments or questions. Deputy Mayor Trahan.
Yes, thanks. Thanks, Chief Lufin. Thanks for your good work during the difficult times. And I would like to also say thanks to all the volunteer firefighters for all you do and keeping us safe in the municipality. Really appreciate it. Just a couple things. I know that this is our first go around with the fire marquee that you put us you put forward for the municipality to join. How is that going?
So our call in December, that was the one structure fire that we can actually claim, submit a claim on. So the paperwork has been submitted. We're waiting to hear back from them as to what the value is going to be from the insurance company. I had spoken to the insurance adjuster to get further information with regards to that call. And when he asked me the purpose, I explained to him what it was I was doing. He says, yeah, not a problem. He says, have them contact us. So they obviously have a good working relationship with Firemark in that respect. They had no problem. He provided, the insurance company provided me the information I was looking for. I submitted that to Firemark on our behalf, and they were negotiating through their policy.
Oh, great. Super. What do we, I see you got the total hours, a little over 2,700 hours. What are we at for current staffing levels right now for numbers?
Our current staffing, we were running with 28. We're now down to 25 presently. We are looking at recruiting. We do have one new applicant that has just come out last Thursday for their first time. So we're introducing them to the emergency service and what we do and how we operate. So we're hoping to see a few more applicants come in. Like everybody, it is challenging. And then also COVID has really created added challenge, if you will.
Yeah, I agree. Retention for recruitment is really tough right now during this time, and then I could understand that totally. Yeah. Thanks a lot, Chief Lufin. Appreciate your report.
Thank you. Unfortunately, just one further point. We did have 2 members that had joined, had not completed their probationary period, and left in December as well. So they found the commitment was too much time commitment for them.
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah.
Councillor Kelly.
Yes, thank you, Chief. Excellent report. In addition to his normal duties and his senior staff's normal duties, they've also attended 1 or 2 meetings. I'm the nuclear waste management representative from FNOM, which is a Canadian committee out of Toronto. And the chief, as a liaison, I've arranged for our chief and his senior staff to meet with nuclear waste, considering the transportation of nuclear materials in the next 15 to 20 years. And in conjunction with 1 or 2 other fire departments, we've had 2 meetings so far, and they want a 3rd and 4th meeting. And I just want to pass on to the chief, congratulations to him and the staff for providing vital information, because it's a specialized area that nuclear waste really, they appreciate the expertise of our department, and we've got a couple of other volunteer departments as well. That's coming up, Frank, in the near future, right?
Yes, they had sent out the potential schedule for the next couple meetings.
Yep. So I just want to pass it on. So that's extra duties compared to what we normally do, and it's a very specialized area. But they're open for ideas, and they take advantage of our expertise. So because with 3 major highways, there's going to be nuclear waste going down the road one of these days to the geological deep depository. Thank you.
Thank you for that update as well, Councillor Kelly. That's good. We move on to Councillor Lougheed.
Thank you for that information. I appreciate it all detailed like that. It gives me a good picture of, it just really tells a story. So thank you for doing that. Really appreciate it. I don't know, I am curious to know how your recruitment efforts are going. You know, if all things considered, are you still able to do what you need to do? Are you still, you know, like it's COVID times, it's a strange time. I was curious to know about your recruitment efforts.
Yeah, so to answer that question, the emergency services are exempt from some of the restrictions that have been set by the Ministry of Health for COVID. So we have been able to get back to some of our training, of course, with mask implementation, the sanitization, keeping our distances and stuff. We try and do our training outside as much as possible. A little challenging with -20 and -30 weather, especially playing with water. It doesn't go so well. On the recruitment side of it, again, it's challenging because you can't go out and have general meetings. You can't hold recruitment sessions. So it's trying to get the word out, having the members contact if they know somebody, inviting them to come down, and then setting up the schedules and working within the boundaries that the medical health is constricting us with.
For sure. If there's any way that council can help with that, I'm sure we'd be open to assisting if need be. I mean, I know I'd be. I was curious to know about that. So thanks for letting me know.
We are holding steady on our numbers. Like I said, we do have that 3 to 5 fluctuation that seems to happen annually. Overall, our core group, we are running with 20 members that are 10 to 15 to 20 years. We now have some members that are into their 22nd and 23rd years of service. So we are doing well on that core group.
Good to hear. Thank you.
Councillor Champagne?
Thank you, Chief. And you know how I feel about the fire department. You guys always done a great job. You still do a great job, and you're being part of our centennial weekend here. So I guess Bonham is going to be traveling on the part of a fire truck. So again, thank you for the association, and thank yourself for all the hard work you've done.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And Chief Lufin, will you stay with us? Because in the correspondence, there's a few items related to the Ontario Fire College. And so there may be some questions, if you don't mind staying just a little longer tonight.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we move forward with notice of motions. And we forgot.
We have to approve his report. I require a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Lougheed, seconded by Deputy Mayor Trahan.
Good. All in favor?
The Council for the Municipality of East Ferris accepts the 2020 Annual Fire Report for information purposes only, as prepared under Report FD 2021-01.
Now all in favor? Say well. Okay, good. All right. Thank you for that enthusiastic show of hands. We move forward now to notice of motions. And so on that note, Madam Clerk, do you want to put forward the motion?
I can. If I could have a mover and a seconder, and we'll put the motion on the floor for discussion. So I require a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Lougheed, seconded by Councillor Kelly. So it's a notice of motion prepared by Mayor Rushfall. That council approves the modification to the boards and committees for the members of council for the balance of the term of office as follows. Mayor Rushfall, Centennial Committee, Police Services Board, Municipal Office Project Technical Advisory Committee, Community Emergency Management Committee, and Communications. Deputy Mayor Trahan, Public Works Committee, Economic Development Committee, and East Ferris Centennial Celebrations Committee. Councillor Kelly, Public Works Committee, Planning Advisory Committee, DSAB and Castle Home. Councillor Lougheed, Communications Committee, Fire and Emergency Services Committee, Planning Advisory Committee, and Library Board. Councillor Champagne, Recreation, Parks and Culture Committee, North Bay Mattawa Conservation Authority, and Municipal Project Technical Advisory Committee. And note, council members do participate in additional subcommittees and working groups, i.e. Medical Office.
So on that note, we will go quick round for any comments before we proceed to voting. Deputy Mayor Trahan.
We've had conversations. I've put my put forward with regards of being on the Fire Emergency Service Committee. I was turned down just so the other councillors are aware of this, and for reasons that I disagree on. So I think Erica, with all due respect, good luck with the fire. I wish I was on the fire department committee. I think I could bring a lot of vast knowledge and direction and assistance to the fire chief on that. And anyway, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
And thank you very much for serving on the medical office subcommittee, Deputy Mayor Trahan. And it was good to see that some of the work going forward this week on that particular committee. So on that note, we move forward then with Councillor Kelly. Are you there, Councillor Kelly? Any comments with respect to, are you frozen?
No, sorry, no, everybody else was frozen. Sorry, everyone was frozen on my screen. Now they're moving again. Oh, thank goodness for animation. No, I'm fine with it. If Councillor Hand wants to go in here and discuss the appointment as far as fire goes, I'm willing to go in camera. You want to go in? I'll make a motion to go in camera if someone will second it to talk about the fire appointment.
No, we've had ample discussion on that, Councillor Kelly, both Deputy Mayor Trahan and I, and so it would be best to proceed in this manner, I do believe. I appreciate your understanding.
I'll leave it up to the floor.
Thank you,
I'm fine with it then,
Kelly.
thank you.
We'll move forward. Councillor Lougheed?
No, I have no comments to make. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Champagne?
I have no comments.
Okay, so we'll proceed forward with the vote. All in favor of the motion as it was read by Madame Clerk? Show of hands. Councillor Champagne, Deputy Mayor Trahan?
No, nay.
Thank you. Okay, motion carried. Thank you so much. We move forward now with bylaws, and we don't have any, so we'll go to correspondence. On that note, I'll request Deputy Mayor Trahan, are there any correspondence items that you would like to raise or bring forward?
I know this is a contentious one, and I know there's going to be a lot more information probably coming forward. It'll be number C with the City of North Bay with the Castle Home redevelopment, with the borrow the necessary funds to complete the redevelopment projects and repay the for using a combination of capital subsidy payments and Ministry of Health and long-term care, as well as the revenue for operations and annual levies the municipalities are proportionate to pay. I think Terry probably has more information. I do support the fight that we have to continue with this. I don't think it's proper right now. I think the government can probably do some more. So in spite of that, also the with the letter H, with the impending closure of the Gravenhurst campus of the Fire College, I'm in favor with support that letter from the union with the closure of the Fire College. I've been there. I've been at the college. I think it's a bad move on the government to close that college down. For small communities like yourself, it's relatively cost effective to send our members down there. I can see the government probably going to be downloading a lot of the costs of teachers and different areas to for some of our firefighters to travel. I can see this going to be increased cost to our fire and emergency services budget. So I'm in support to have a letter go in support of the non-closure of the Fire College. Letter M with the letter from Denise Beaupre and Tim Foster. The letter will that's going to be coming forward to our parks or our public works committee, and there's a lot of good stuff on there. There's lots of great stuff that total agreement on. There's some other stuff we're going to have to explore for some costing. So let us it's a 2-page letter, so let us go through it and we'll have a response back. That's all I have. Thanks.
On that note, Mr. CAO, I know you're there somewhere, Jason. The resolution that was passed by the City of North Bay is the same resolution that we also passed, correct? Or is it slightly modified, or is it about the same?
No, it would be pretty much the same. I mean, there may have been a word or two that was changed, but in reading it, it looked identical to what we had passed.
Okay, so that is good that they're also showing the support. Okay. Just before we move
Madam
on.
Mayor?
Oui, Madam Clerk?
The letters that we're receiving regarding Castle Home, those are all the letters of support where we had sent to all the Castle Home Board members at first when we did ours. I believe it was in December.
Right.
Then, so we forwarded our resolution, and it's more or less a reply that they're supporting our resolution and they're just passing the same resolution.
C'est bon. Thank you so much. Well, on that note, then, before we move on to items H and M, Councillor Kelly, did you want to provide any updates or comments on Castle Home?
Yes, I would, please. Thank you. I had a meeting last Thursday with Castle Home. It went for, I think, 4.5 hours and very contentious. I can say, I can't reveal everything, but I can say there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes to try to make the financial deal more palatable, because a lot of communities would be in the same position we're in that if they have to sign a personal loan as a community for their levy instead of being on a regular basis, and if it appears on the books, it really ties them up for capital expenditures in the foreseeable future. So it's not what the government agreed to originally, from what I understand. And so I think they're trying to rectify it without obviously backpedaling too far. But that's all I can say. I have got a meeting coming up. I have a meeting coming up, I believe, on this Thursday, and that'll be continued on. But it was really, to me, it was gratifying to see the support from other communities, because, as I say, they're all in the same position we're in. There's only so many dollars. And understanding was that the government would pay for it up front. We would have added to our operational levy, which we accept wholeheartedly, but we'd have 25 to 30 years to pay off the debt. Now they want us to sign for it up front. It wasn't fair, but without saying any further, I think it's going to be hopefully rectified in the near future. That's my personal hope. Thank you.
C'est bon. Any comments before we move on to item H? When Deputy Mayor Trahan was speaking about the Ontario Fire College, I noted that Councillor Lougheed was shaking her head. I guess I sensed an agreement. Maybe just to get a word or two from Chief Lufin, if we were to pass a resolution in support of the Ontario Fire, just a quick question before turning it over to you, Fire Chief Lufin. These regional colleges that they want to set up for fire, one is at Canadore, is that correct? Is a proposed site? So if you could comment on that as well.
So Mayor Rochford, I'll give up my chair to the chief because I couldn't figure out his audio.
Okay.
So my understanding, North Bay is trying to receive approval to set up a regional training center as well. This is the format that the province is heading towards. And North Bay's agreement is with Canadore College. So Canadore College will be the governing education center that would be affiliated in order to sign off the testing and whatnot with North Bay in an agreement and running the program.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Trahan, I see you. Go ahead. Yep, please. You're on mute. Yep.
I heard that also, Chief. I heard some nasty rumors though of the annual cost. Were you aware of any of that?
So preliminary and for council's information, the Ontario Association of Fire Chiefs is lobbying the government to find out why this decision was made without full consultation with the other stakeholders. The cost, as Deputy Mayor Trahan has mentioned, is very substantial when it comes to regional training centers because they are not affiliated through the province or receive limited funding, if any, from the province. the full cost goes by the municipality that's offering the training to recover their costs and cover the wages. Programs that I looked at last year and the year before with when the first regional training centers were showing up, on average for a member to go down and attend without covering their costs for lodging and travel and meals, just to register for the program was running anywhere from $400 to $500. So add your hotel stays for a week's worth, add the meal costs and everything else for a week's worth for one individual, you're well over $1,000. So the cost wise for smaller municipalities, in my opinion, is going to be prohibitive to attend some of these regional training centers, especially if North Bay gets one. For us, potentially could be beneficial because we wouldn't be looking at the added cost of travel and lodging. But at the same token, it's still going to be what price they set through their agreement with the city and with Canada College.
Thank you. Comments by council. Councillor Kelly?
I feel it is another form of downloading. I think it should be, for starters, to not involve the stakeholders in that decision was just entirely wrong. There's a difficulty getting volunteer firefighters as it is. It's a dangerous occupation by its very nature. Houses have become far more dangerous. It's called the difference between a modern home and a heritage home. And a heritage home takes a lot longer to go up in flames and be uninhabitable. A new home, for starters, even the roofs are not safe to go up on the way they're built now. So there's been a lot of changes in the fire service, and the Fire College kept us, the different departments, abreast of changes on a regular basis. This is not a good move, I don't think. But I think, in my opinion, it's a form of downloading. It's going to be costly. It's going to be harder to get for small departments to be trained in a proper manner. So I'm not in favor whatsoever. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Lougheed?
I think we just need to, for me, I need to know a little bit more. I mean, at one point, like the North Bay chief is very in favor of it, right? And then, I guess maybe the bigger question is, the costs involved that you mentioned, Councillor Kelly, right? That we don't know. Anyway, I don't have much else to add. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Champagne?
Biggest comment I have is I agree with Steve and I agree with Terry, I agree with the chief also that things have got to get done, but unfortunately the way we're getting downloaded nowadays, it's just not right for what's happening. So a voice needs to get out there and tell the people how we feel about it too also. So I'm agreeing bringing it forward.
All right, so we move forward with a letter of support similar to item H, or there's a few of them, correct? Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you so much. And letter M we've covered.
Pardon me, Madam Mayor. So we'll bring back the letter of support from, do you want the one from Township of Baldwin in Augusta as well to be brought back for action, or just the letter from the OPSU?
Just the, well, I should go back to Deputy Mayor Trahan. It's his recommendation. What would you like to see, Deputy Mayor Trahan?
The one from H is fine.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is that all right with everyone on council? Okay, great.
Yep, good.
But it will be an interesting file to follow from a North Bay perspective, as Canadore is in our community, and so it's important equally to be mindful of that organization and their role in our community. And I know we will stay attuned to how that file develops.
Just a quick question, quick question, Mr. Mayor. Can this be brought up at OGRA that's coming up in 2 weeks from now?
It certainly is an item. I don't know if the agenda is all done. We have made requests as for delegations, but not necessarily in this specific area. Well, I should ask you, Councillor Champagne, if we wanted to add something last minute to an OGRA agenda, how best would we do so?
Leave it with me.
Okay, thank you. All councils are in agreement with that? No problem? Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
All right. Then we move forward to Councillor Kelly.
Sure, I've got, thank you. In addition to what Councillor Trahan mentioned, J and K. DSAB, I can just speak to very shortly. I sit on the board and it's been in the paper, so I'm not going to go over it. The ongoing problems with the low barrier shelter and the homeless situation in North Bay, the opioid crisis, and on we go. And now there's an outbreak of the virus as well. So it's not a good triple header, that's for sure. The problem, of course, with the low barrier shelter is the ongoing costs, and we're looking for, everyone's looking for a permanent solution. Very hard to find. It's like the opioid crisis, and things get exacerbated when things are tough as well. As far as Phenom goes, and just the highlights, we met multi-ministers, and we met also with one or two of the other parties with the shadow cabinets, and with just the issues coming up, mainly connectivity, which is an issue across the north, as is transportation. And not just transportation out of Northern Ontario, but moving people into Northern Ontario. We've got an immigration policy, and it's a matter of being able to get people here in an economical basis. The other problem, of course, is the Ring of Fire. And we're one of the only countries in the world that are pulling up rail rather than laying it down. It's an issue. We had promises about the Northlander. We've mentioned that to the provincial government, as I mentioned, the connectivity. So here's hoping some of the satellites, and I won't mention the companies involved. There's a number of companies and providers, but if nothing, the only good I can see with COVID-19, and there's very little good, it has highlighted how infrastructure has suffered as far as keeping up with connectivity and how important it is for our society.
Yes, absolutely, yep.
So
Well said.
thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, with those comments, then we move on to Councillor Lougheed.
I don't have anything to, everything was brought up already. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Champagne.
No, I'm good also.
Thank you so much. So then we move on to item 14, Madam Clerk.
I require a mover and a seconder, please, to accept the agenda correspondence. Moved by Councillor Kelly, seconded by Councillor Lougheed. That council accept the correspondence and that council acknowledge the correspondence and information as circulated with the agenda dated the 9th day of February 2021.
All in favor? C'est bon, thank you so much. So approval of accounts payable, sorry.
Require a mover and a seconder. Moved by Deputy Mayor Trahan and seconded by Councillor Champagne. That council approved the general accounts for the municipality of East Ferris as indicated in the check register dated February 9th, 2021 in the amount of $353,160.82.
All in favor? Bon, thank you. Other business? There being none. Confirmatory bylaw? Oh, in camera, sorry. No, there was no call.
There's none for this
Oh, there is
session.
a call for in-camera session?
No, sorry,
Oh, sorry.
sorry,
Oh, for
Mayor.
the confirmatory bylaw, sorry. Yeah, okay, so confirmatory bylaw.
Mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Lougheed, seconded by Councillor Kelly. Whereas council for the municipality of East Ferris deems it expedient to pass 3 readings of the following bylaw at this session, be it hereby resolved that a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council from January 26, 2021 to February 9, 2021 be read a first, second, and third time, passed and numbered 2021-07, and that the said bylaw be signed by the mayor and clerk and sealed with the seal of the corporation.
All in favor? Thank you so much. Adjournment?
Require a mover.
Okay.
Oh, Councillor.
Sorry.
Mayor Trahan.
Sorry, Mayor. I just want to, can we go back to number 16 for a second? Is that possible?
Number
Yes,
16, other
Yes.
business?
yes, let's
Yeah.
do that, yes.
Sorry, I'm trying to also operate with my phone here with the agenda, so
It's okay.
Apologize. So the other business I want to bring up with the medical building. So we, CEO, we put out letters of interest. Just want to let the residents know that we've put that out through social media. If it's more, it's out there for everybody to read, and just wanted to throw that out there, and yeah, let's hopefully we get some really good response back, and with regards to some other professional businesses and some other professional services. So Terry, you got anything you want to add on that also, or?
No, well, just one thing. Thank you for bringing it up. I understand from our CEO that Bay Today picked it up. Is that correct, Jason?
Yeah, so Councillor Kelly, it's hit Bay Today, and I also had a phone call from the Nugget, and it's also appeared in the Nugget today. So it's getting some coverage, which we always appreciate when our local media pays attention to what we're doing and actually helps us out in getting the word out. So.
Oh, that's great. What we're looking forward to, Councillor Tran and I are on the working group. And what we're hoping for is a fast response from some of our medical professionals. And when we have something more substantial to mention, we'll bring a report and preliminary report to council. And we hope to get this going in the next 2 or 3 months. So it's looking very favorable. Thank you.
Good work. And so thank you for ensuring that was mentioned, Deputy Mayor Trahan. So now we move forward to adjournment.
Okay. A mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Lougheed, seconded by Councillor Kelly. That we do now adjourned at 7:36 p.m. and meet again on February 23rd, 2021.
All in favor? C'est bon. Thank you so much, everyone, and bonne fête de la famille weekend. So enjoy the weekend. Thank you.
Thank you. Good
Thank you,
night.
everyone.
Good night.
Good night.